start off with the 105 game on Saturday. That's the Colts, the 11-5 Colts at the 13-3 Bills. Bills are favored by 6.5 points. What is your pick?
Well, we talked for a long time about me not really being a Josh Allen fan. He's very mobile. I still think he's not very accurate. But God, has that kid played really well this year. And it's not even so much Josh Allen as, who I actually don't really like as much as Josh Allen, who I think is even worse in the clutch? Phillip Rivers.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
I think the Bills actually win that game pretty easily.
I think the only way that the Colts stay in the game is if they can establish the run with Jonathan Taylor like they did last week. If they can establish a run and really keep it and get it going, then the play action pass becomes a pretty big deal. And with a couple of different receivers that Phillip Rivers has, with Pascal and with T.Y. Hilton, and who's that fast kid that they have?
Their probably best fast kid is Hines, the running back.
Oh, true. I mean, that's another thing too, is to negate the pass rush of the Bills. That's Hines is going to get a lot of use. But Jonathan Taylor running the ball, Hines catching the ball out of the backfield, those are going to be the keys to success for Phillip Rivers. And that's really it. I mean, if they can't get the running game going, then the Bills are going to trump them. I believe that too. So your pick is the Bills?
It is the Bills, and I think even on the betting favorite of the 6.5, I would still take the Bills as well.
All right, yeah, so we're both in agreement. Bills, and they cover. All right, the 4:40 game is on Fox. It's the 10-6 Rams at the 12-4 Seahawks. Seattle's favored by 3.5. The over/under is 42. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your Seattle Seahawks. Is there a team and or a player that was as polarizing a half as the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson?
Right.
He was literally my probably number one for MVP after the first 6 games. And now I'm not even sure he's in the top 5.
Really? Oh, top 5 for MVP? He still threw 40 touchdowns.
I'm just saying, it was, yeah. He literally just fell out of the race just like that, Right. And if you remember, through the first 6 games, man, I thought he was the front runner. I thought he was going to finally win an MVP. And then Seattle as well, even though they're 12-4, they've had a lot of really close grind out wins. Their offense hasn't looked really good for a while. That being said, I do go with the experience of Russell Wilson and to just get it done, which I think they'll just get it done.
Yeah. Trying to be as unbiased as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Obviously the first half was very offensive for this first half of the season, was a lot of offense for Seattle. They set a team record for most points scored in a season, even despite having that offense let off the pedal a little bit. My biggest concern for the Seahawks is that they don't know how to put teams away. They showed that over the second half of the season, that even when they were winning by a large margin, they were up 20-3 at one point on the Washington football team, and they let them get back in that game. They just don't have that. They don't have that kill instinct like the Bills, like we just talked about. So I think you're right. I think it is close, but it also depends on whether or not Jared Goff plays. We're 2 days away. we're 1 day away. It's tomorrow, and we still don't know if Jared Goff is going to play.
Yeah, and I think too, we might be, or at least I might be downplaying the injury just because he broke his thumb, came back in the game with a broken thumb, and threw fine, actually. So I'm like, it's not a big deal. He looked fine.
I actually think the bigger injury is Jamal Adams. If Jamal Adams not on the defense for Seattle, he's been a big key component. So far, we picked the Bills and the Seahawks together. Are there going to be any differences? 8:15 p.m.
I think there are starting here.
Okay, 8:15. We'll see. 8:15 p.m. NBC. 11-5 Buccaneers at the 7-9 Washington football team. Washington is favored by. The Buccaneers are favored by 8.5.
So I would take your Washington football team for the 8.5.
Yeah. Okay, to cover. Yeah, I'm with you on the cover.
And I'm actually also going to pick them to win. Let me tell you why.
Okay. Right.
So in the last 7 games, the Redskins are 5-2 with Alex Smith starting. They are also 5-1 because technically he was also out a game. The one game they lost was really close against your Seattle Seahawks. In the last 2 7-9 teams to make the playoffs, 2014 Panthers won, and your 2010 Seahawks won. So Chase, dude, rookie Chase Young, that defense has been playing really, really good. Alex Smith is a game manager. I actually think they're going to keep that game really, really close. And I'm going to pick them to win. I'm going to pick them to do the upset.
Okay. Man, I mean, I like Washington to cover for sure for those out in the betting public. If Chase Young can get to the quarterback. Tom Brady is obviously notoriously slow-footed. And if Washington can get a pass rush going, it's going to make it for an interesting day. My biggest concern, though, is whether or not Washington can stop Brady from completing passes. I mean, obviously, Mike Evans' injury, that's a big concern. He might be out this week. But can the Washington secondary stop the rest?
I mean, and I think, and this is why I think they actually came back up in it too. It's once Alex Smith was able to get the starting job and actually keep the offense on the field for a little bit. In the last 8 weeks, one NFL team has scored over 20 points against the Redskins.
Yeah.
One, that's half the season, has scored over 20 points. Their defense has been very, very good.
Yeah. I'm going to go Buccaneers just to be different, just because we're on the fence, and I'm going to go Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nation's going Buccaneers, you know?
The nation. I think everybody hates, and everybody who's not in New England or a Tampa Bay fan hates the Buccaneers, or hates Tom Brady anyway, not the Buccaneers. Hates Tom Brady. I know I hate Tom Brady. I respect him, but
All right, so we got one different.
All right, we got one different. Yeah. All right, Ravens. Here we go. Sunday, 1:05 p.m. ESPN. 11-5 Ravens at the 11-5 Titans. The Ravens are favored by 3.5.
God, here's my. Can I get a plug here for Derrick Henry to win MVP? This is my plug. Derrick Henry for MVP. This is a quarterback league. Has been now for years with the way the rules are. And this kid ran for over 2,000 yards, and he literally is the heart and soul of that team. Derrick Henry for MVP.
I think he gets an MVP. Wait, let me respond to that. I think he gets MVP votes for sure. The last 2,000.
I think he comes in third.
The last 2,000-yard rusher was Adrian Peterson, and he won the MVP the year that he broke 2,000 yards. So, yeah, I mean, I think third.
Has any running back ever rushed for 2,000 yards and not won MVP?
Oh yeah. That has happened.
Really?
Chris Johnson, CK.
So that was the only one that's the only one I don't know. Are you sure he didn't win MVP? Because I think he did win co-MVP. No?
He did not. CK2K did not win MVP the year that he ran for 2,000 yards. Guaranteed.
Then he is the only one, I think.
The last 3 running backs to win the MVP since 2006. Oh no, Jamal Lewis also broke 2,000 yards. Did not win MVP.
Didn't win it.
No, he didn't win it, and a lot of it's down to touchdowns. Like they didn't score the touchdowns. Now Derrick Henry scored a bunch of touchdowns, so keeps him in the conversation.
Well, he's got the triple crown. He's got the touchdowns, the yards, and the carries.
Right.
It is a workhorse.
Yes.
I mean, that team is Derrick Henry. I mean, that's what makes Tannehill so applicable is, the play action, not putting a lot of pressure on him.
Right.
I mean, gosh, I'd like to see a running back get the. So just as polarizing this year as the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson were, is also just as polarizing year 1 or year 2 to year 3 is Lamar Jackson, right? Man, what a good game. What a good game. I think it's going to be low scoring, lots of running. I'm gonna pick the Titans. I'm gonna pick the Titans to edge it out.
The Titans are such a weird team. Because obviously, if they can control the clock with Derrick Henry, then they have a really good chance to win this game. My concern is that their defense can't stop the Ravens. The Titans have an epically bad defense. And so I think Lamar Jackson, I think J.K. Dobbins, I think they have a field day on the ground. against the Titans, and I'm actually going to go with Vegas on this one. I'm going to take the Ravens in at the cover. Yeah, and I hate
What's the
saying
spread?
3.5 points. They're giving 3.5 points. The Ravens are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I think Lamar Jackson has a great game. I think J.K. Dobbins comes out and has another great game. He had one last week as well. So I'm gonna take the Ravens. All right, here we go. 4:40 p.m. on Sunday. CBS game 8-8 Bears at the 12-4 Saints. The Saints are favored by 10.
Bears are such a weird team. Matt Nagy's such a weird coach.
I agree.
God, the Bears did squeak into the playoffs here, and they actually look good, man. They've been running the ball. They were running the ball very well. Matt Nagy actually gave up offensive coordinator duties in those weeks that they did really good. He took it back last week, even though they were on a winning streak. And I think he's going to start deciding that he wants to call plays again. And they lost last week. So, yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think the Saints are probably the most complete team in the NFL. Every single time something happens to that team, I'm like, they're going to lose. They lose Michael Thomas at the beginning of the year. They keep winning. They lose Drew Brees. Taysom Hill comes in. They keep winning. I mean, Kamara should be good to go with the COVID stuff. But I think the Saints win that game easily.
I mean, it's hard to go against the Saints only because the Bears looked so horrid last week against the Packers. With the playoff lives on the line, if Arizona Cardinals win against the Rams, then the Cardinals and Rams are in the playoffs rather than the Rams and Bears. So, yeah, and it's compelling what you said about Matt Nagy, not giving up, taking back the offensive play calling. And you could tell in that game that they struggled to make good decisions when it came to plays. What also hurt them was Mooney. Losing Mooney was, the over the top talent of Mooney.
Yeah, rookie receiver there.
Yeah, but that frees up underneath patterns for Allen Robinson and their tight end. Jimmy Graham? Yeah, Jimmy Graham. So they have options underneath, and David Montgomery as well. So man, I don't know. It's just I don't see a path to victory for the Bears though. So I agree. I think the Saints win. Last game, 8:15 p.m. on NBC. 11-5 Browns at the 12-4 Steelers. It is Steelers are favored by 6.
Yeah, and I think they're favored just because of how much the Browns are losing players right now. Because God, the Steelers were 11-0. They're 12-4.
Right?
Wow, they're going to be the worst undefeated team ever. Because I don't think any of us thought they were that good. And it showed. Yeah, it showed the last few weeks. Defensively, they're very good. Offensively, they're not. And I wouldn't have guessed that they'd be this bad on offense, to be honest. The Browns, though, are going to be without a lot of players. So I'm going to pick the Steelers to squeak out one at home. I mean, I'm glad the Browns finally made the playoffs. That's a win in itself. But they're going to have to wait, I think, for their first playoff victory in a long time.
I think, sadly, I really wanted to see the Browns win this game. I think the Steelers actually win by a lot. Like I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is good at all. Like I think he's an atrocious quarterback at this point, and he hasn't done a good job keeping up with the way the league is advanced from a quarterback standpoint. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers, but they don't make it past next week. All right, those are our picks. So, just to recap real quick, Joe Lance went Bills, Seahawks, Washington, Titans, Saints, Steelers, and Swenson went Bills, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Ravens, Saints, Steelers. So Joe took Lance took all of the home teams, and I took the road teams. Cool. All right, we'll tune in next week when we talk about for the football anyway. When we talk about the divisional round. Join us again next Friday for In the Clutch. I'm Joe.
I'm Joe.
Peace out.